慈济 Canada chapter donates to Fort McMurray school districts to fund a student leadership program. And we learn about the symptoms and dangers of head injuries from Taichung慈济Hospital. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Siri Su. Thank you for joining us. Last May, a wildfire in Canada devastated much of northern Alberta's Fort McMurray. Though the residents have returned to their homes, their emotional scarring have yet to heal, which is especially evident in children. Recently, Tzu donated some money to Fort McMurray's 2 school districts to fund the leadership program and help the children recover from the emotional trauma of the fire.
A massive forest fire in May of 2016 damaged Fort McMurray. Tzu sprang into action to help. Back then, thick eco-friendly blankets were shipped by air from Taiwan to Canada for the volunteers from both coasts of the country to deliver aid to the needy at the distribution center. In total, over 13,000 people were helped. After the short-term disaster relief was over, how were the volunteers to help heal the emotional scarring from the fire? Tzu contacted local Board of Education authorities to donate funds collected to a mid to long-term project. The volunteers chose Leader in Me, a leadership program promoted in Fort McMurray's 2 school districts.
它是带给这些孩子一个正向思考，选择对的事情做，这样子的一个理念，跟上人教我们的是非常相近的。
We help to build not just ourselves, but we help to build others and lift them up. And so our students and our community will benefit greatly from your generosity and your service
to help us move forward as people to make lives better for the many people in Fort McMurray.
A pretty major fire. The Leader in Me program will help them to, I believe, turn a negative incident into a more positive.
To promote a more positive outlook on life, Tzuji's Jingsi aphorisms can help.
So I look forward to reading it, and on behalf of the Fort McMurray Catholic Board of Education, from the bottom of our hearts and all our children and our families in the entire city, both school districts, we humbly and graciously thank you.
The school districts accepted a check from Tzu on behalf of the 11 schools in the area in hopes of passing the love forward to nearly 4,500 students.
In the Philippines, dental services are very expensive. A tooth extraction could cost up to $30. Therefore, many low to mid-income families rather endure the cavity until it is no longer bearable. Thankfully, in Navota City, a local parish has joined hands with the Philippines Tima chapter to hold dental-free clinics for the poor.
For 3 whole months, Jelly Abanga has endured a toothache. Only until this free clinic was she relieved from the suffering.
I put cuttings in the hole of my tooth and remove it only when I eat. The tooth is so badly worn out that my tongue gets scarred. I have difficulty eating and sometimes drinking water.
For Abanga, the cost of getting a tooth extraction would cost her husband, who is a driver, 3 days of pay, which is too expensive for the family. Meanwhile, for Edgerlyn Gavanzo, maintaining good dental health is important to keeping her job at the fast food restaurant, as she has 3 siblings to feed.
It's embarrassing to face customers when my teeth are not in good condition. Also, bad breath cannot be avoided when your teeth is damaged. That is why I want to have my teeth fixed, so that I'll be confident in talking to customers.
This free clinic was brought to fruition thanks to Father Larry Singian, who saw the despair these mid to low-income families faced. Thus, Tzu and the parish have been working together since April of 2016 to bring dental services to the needy twice a month. This time, Emily Gara brought her daughter to get checked.
I really put my children's welfare before my own, especially when they have illness. I would rather buy them medicines than use the money to have my bad tooth removed.
This free dental clinic not only helped relieve the financial burden of these 96 patients, but also helped them find back their beautiful smiles.
As Tzu Chi has been nurturing volunteers in Yunnan, China for years, there has been many outstanding local volunteers who joined the big Tzu Chi family. One such person is Hu Yan, who was certified last year. Previously, she was a nurse manager. But as she was moved by Tzu Chi Hospital's humanitarian efforts, she quit her job and devoted herself full-time to being a Tzu Chi volunteer.
这个呢就是日本的神肝，这个是35吨级的。因为我们在外面呢办一点事业呢。
In my line of work, eating out and drinking was very much a part of it. My habits were hard to change.
非常重的。
It takes one thought to change a person.
He loved to fish, which he doesn't do anymore.
进入了慈济以后呢，
In Tzu Chi, I've quit smoking and drinking.
酒也戒了。
He's changed. He doesn't get angry anymore.
Being in Tzu Chi for 2 years, Yang Shufeng became gentler and no longer gets angry. As a result, his second-hand collar machinery business boomed. His affinity with Tzu Chi began from his wife.
因为我信任我们家师姐。
I have faith in my wife. She's the light of wisdom in our family. She said this organization was very good, so I came with her and was moved by the atmosphere I felt in the environment.
氛围呢给感动了。
Looking back at 2013, Hu Yan's life experienced a change at the end of the year.
I was standing next to a coworker and I told her I wanted to do good deeds. She told me she knew of a Yegang sister that would often go to give back to society. I was so glad I heard it. I immediately went to look for her.
I'm so fortunate because she came to find me on her own.
Getting to know Tzu Chi through coworker Ye Gang, Hu Yan visited Taiwan's Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital to learn more about the workings of a Tzu Chi hospital.
The trip simply moved me. The hospital's humanitarianism and the volunteers at the hospital really was something I haven't seen before.
A nurse for 18 years, Hu Yan knows about the impermanence of life. With her heart set on joining Tzu Chi, she continued to involve herself in the organization.
She's very detail-oriented when doing Tzu Chi's work. She isn't afraid of getting tired, nor does she complain.
With her compassionate heart, Hu set out to quit her managerial job as a nurse. However, her supervisor asked her to stay on. It was only when she completed her certification that she was finally able to devote her time to being a full-time Tzu Chi volunteer.
她虽然是年轻，但是她的人生方向非常准确。
Although she's young, but she's firm on her path in life. I tell her you can look back in 30 years and not regret that you quit your job to commit to Tzu Chi.
你来看看。
Tzu Chi volunteer Chen Mingzhu has been in Yunnan as an experienced volunteer. It was her who encouraged Hu to take the lead among her group of volunteers. Hu is also very involved in looking after care recipients.
After Sister Hu talked to me, I felt as if my heart has opened up.
In looking after care recipients, Hu uses her nursing expertise to help the care recipients. Though she's no longer a nurse, she is still contributing her strength in society.
In our continuing series on Taiwan's gifted education program, we take a look at classes for gifted junior high school students. Since junior high school students are entering adolescence and often face big workloads and pressure, it is important that the teachers and parents guide them to become interested in learning. To achieve such goal, many teachers design curriculum according to the students' interests. Let's take a look.
Students are focused on scientific experiments in this independent science research class at a junior high school. Experimenting on the balloons, the two students who went through gifted education program in elementary school are familiar with the theory. Now they're discovering its science by observing the change of pressure of air and objects.
We learn more than what is in the textbooks, but also what is outside the textbooks.
Located in Yilan, Fuxing Junior High School's gifted education is as competitive as that in big cities. The selected gifted students attend classes at certain time without set curriculum. The classes are open and designed to meet their individual needs.
The classes are small, so there is more interaction between teachers and students.
你们可以看到这个叶片啊，水往上的过程，叶片就张开。
没有特定的主题。
There is no set topic. We design the classes on topics students are interested in.
设计课程。
Outstanding performances in scientific fairs is the best report card for gifted students. These two students, for example, invented a way to fasten umbrella with Velcro and belt.
Like this, we can walk without holding it with our hands. We can even carry items with both hands while using the umbrella.
In the math class, board games have replaced memorization of formulas. Gifted students enjoy more educational resources than regular students. However, do other students hope they can also be selected as gifted students?
Gifted students have a lot of work to do and they find it troublesome.
I probably cannot handle the workload, so I don't envy them.
标签化，或者是变成是一个同侪的一个。
If there are stigmas or if peers laugh at them, we need to pay special attention. Although they might seem bright, they actually face a lot of pressure and need to learn to face failure.
跟需要调试的挫折感。
After all, there are high expectations of gifted students. How do their parents view their children?
连在补习班哦，连老师都很那种。
The cram school teacher was surprised to learn he is in the gifted education program. They do not realize that being gifted does not guarantee great academic performance. Therefore, my child felt hurt.
I don't tell him he's great because he is smart. I never do that. I tell him he needs to get along with others. Getting along with people makes you really happy in life.
In the development of gifted education in junior high schools, the government established an experimental program for gifted students in Da'an and Jinhua junior high schools in 1971. By now, there's a systematic way of assessing gifted junior high students. First, they need to excel in academics, and secondly, they should have been recognized in international competitions.
The first assessment is an aptitude assessment. Regarding its nature, we only find out on site. The assessments can tell if the children have special talent.
Currently, the gifted students' classes in junior high schools are in two categories: math, sciences, and language. All the public junior high schools have established 113 and 36 of such classes. In addition, the municipal governments are likely to add more classes.
Our policy includes gradual establishment of classes for gifted students. We provide resources after the classes are established. For instance, there are 2 teachers per class in elementary schools and 3 teachers in junior high schools. This way, teachers can dedicate themselves wholeheartedly.
Since junior high school education is part of basic education, gifted education should help students integrate the learnings with life and society. Since many gifted students have high ability and focus, it is important that the teachers and parents guide them to become interested in learning.
Everyone is bound to get hit in the head sometime during their life. If a head injury is severe, it can be life-threatening if not treated properly. It is especially important to look after the very young and the elderly if they receive head injuries. Here is some information everyone should know the next time you or someone you know hits their head.
This is Yu Yu, who just turned 2 years old. He loves climbing over things. Once he fell and hit his head, and it caused his mother to worry.
I really worry because as a little kid, he can't talk yet, so he can't tell if something is wrong or not. If I think it is serious and can't stop worrying, then I'll visit the neighborhood pediatrician.
Head injuries can be very serious. It is important to be careful watching after both young children and the elderly alike. This is 82-year-old Xiao Zhi. She recently had an accident on the road and hit her head. She came to the doctor for an examination. Whenever lots of energetic young children play together, there is always a chance of one falling and hitting their head.
奔跑，然后不小心滑倒撞到后脑勺，有一点点脑震荡。
Use ice to reduce the pain and swelling. After it happens, ask if they have any nausea or if they have thrown up or if they feel dizzy. If they show any combination of these symptoms, then they may need immediate medical attention.
At some point in everyone's life, you will probably be hit in the head. So how can you judge for yourself if the injury is serious enough to go to the hospital?
People over the age of 65 and children under 2 are the most susceptible to serious head injury. If there is any serious blood flow from the wound, then they should go to the hospital.
Other age groups as well should also be mindful if they receive any head injuries. If the force of the hit was very strong, or if the person lost consciousness for any length of time, or if there is nausea or vomiting, then they should get a medical check. If none of the above occur, then use your best judgment about whether to visit the hospital. Although, here are some things to remember in case of a head wound.
If there is serious swelling or a hematoma, then you should not rub it or break open the skin. It's best to use ice to reduce the swelling. If you rub it, the blood will just spread out and more blood will flow in. For a child who is only 1 or 2, their brain has not finished developing. Even if there's no swelling, there may still be internal blood loss. The elderly are the same. There may not be a mark, but could still be internal bleeding. If the brain is damaged, there may not be any immediately noticeable effect. It may be 2 or 3 days later, or even 6 hours after the accident, that a blood clot may form. So there may be delayed pain for some patients. If you start to feel pain, then you have to go back to the hospital.
If you receive a head injury, it is important to monitor the wound, especially for the first 72 hours after the accident. If you notice any of the following symptoms, it may indicate that you have developed a concussion or a more serious problem. In such a case, it is important to go to the hospital immediately to make sure everything is okay.
Almost everyone carries some kind of bag as part of their daily life, but how many of you are carrying a bit more weight than you should in that bag? In our next piece, we'll review a few health tips related to carrying backpacks and handbags.
Most people carry a bag with them when they leave the house. Some people carry bags across their back or over their shoulders, while some hold their bags in hand. Some people carry multiple bags, doing all 3 at once. If you've ever done this yourself, then you have also carried loads that you knew were too heavy.
Some people really carry too much weight on their backs. This can lead to a hunchback, and over time, under that pressure, the thoracic spine and lumbar spine may become bent.
If you carry too much weight regularly, it can cause various muscular imbalances.
If you are always carrying heavy loads, and you always carry weight on your left side, then over time you may develop some problems.
While young children are growing up, they may regularly carry their book bags, lunch boxes, and sometimes even extra school bags for supplemental classes. For young developing bodies, the concern is much greater for school children than for adults. To avoid affecting the healthy development in children, the government has promoted lessening the weight of school bags and materials. The total weight carried by a student should not exceed 1/8 of the student's total body weight.
When selecting a backpack, we recommend something light with wide straps. It should be worn snug and only hang down to the pelvic area. This is the standard style.
In modern society, both children and adults have a tendency to pack their bags full of things that they think they must have with them. This is actually a modern psychological problem.
People pack everything they think they could possibly use into their bags, and that is why bags are so heavy. Of course, it's a problem for the physical body, but this also reveals a modern psychological problem many people have.
If you must carry a heavy bag, then it is best to carry it using a standard 2-strap backpack. The next best is the single strap or shoulder pack, while a heavy handbag is the least healthy option. The distribution of items in a bag should also be considered to avoid uneven weight to the left or the right.
If you have to carry a heavy load, then it is best to use a standard 2-strap backpack, because a single strap pack or a handbag can cause uneven stress to one side of the body. This isn't good for the spine. If you do use a single strap pack or handbag, then remember to rotate sides regularly.
While posture is always important, you should also ask yourself about all the things you are carrying in your bag. Is everything in your bag absolutely necessary? Will you actually use the items you carry?
Of course, the most important things are the items that you know you will use. If the item is important, but you are unlikely to use it, then take it out and just leave it at home.
If you keep a poor posture or carry extremely heavy loads regularly, you can develop various problems, including muscle pain or more serious issues like the dislocation of spinal joints or disc hernia. Remember to ask yourself if you really need all the things you are carrying, and pay attention to the way you carry them.
Tzu Chi volunteers in the United States held many year-end ceremonies in different parts of the country. The attendees included local residents, Buddhist masters, and also other charity groups. Many attendees seized the opportunity to pray for a world free of disasters.
Tzu Chi volunteers in New Jersey hold a year-end ceremony and welcome attendees. The video, 2016 Year in Review, brings everyone to reveal the love of Tzu Chi around the world.
Honored to be here and be a part of this. This year is exceptionally emotional for me. I hope for the next year that I would be able to share the Tzu Chi story with everyone that I know.
At the year-end ceremony, it's also the time for us to look back at our cooperation with Tzu Chi in the past year and be thankful for it. It is also time for us to be grateful for having Tzu Chi to walk with us in the year to come. It's nice to have Tzu Chi.
Through the solemn sound of bells and drums and the performance of 8 noble paths on stage, Buddha's Dharma is expressed to remind people to stay diligent.
The performance had both pain and happiness, but in the end, I feel it was mostly happiness. Every time I wanted to be lazy or I felt I'd wait for 5 minutes to do it, then I think that diligence will conquer all difficulties. Fine, and I got up and continued, and I would want to work hard. I had to work hard.
As it's the last weekend before the Lunar New Year, Tzu Chi volunteers in New York also hold a year-end ceremony at a community secondary school. Volunteers and team members perform the prelude of the 12 vows of Medicine Buddha.
I'm very thankful to everyone's love. I will do all I can to help other people. It will make me feel very warm.
So many people from different races came to today's event. I saw white people, African Americans, and Spanish-speaking people come to the event. This shows the spirit of great love has touched their hearts, so communities support it and are willing to attend Tzu Chi's year-end ceremony.
Attendees pray together for world peace and also pour their donations into big urns as they want to help the suffering around the world.
In celebration of Lunar New Year, volunteers held various gatherings at the Tzu Chi Suzhou grounds. For people who cannot return home for the holidays, they felt familiar warmth at the celebrations. In addition, many people seized the occasions to make great vows for the new year. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.